Hello, this is Harry Paden. I am a host of Paden's Pulpit. This is season 1, episode 23. The title is The Thrill of Victory and the Agony of Defeat. The Thrill of Victory and the Agony of defeat. People of a certain age know that saying because it is an iconic saying that hits right in the spot. Victory is so thrilling, defeat so agonizing. How many of you know where these infamous words originate? Well, of course, master historian Harry Richie Rich Paden will give you that history. No need for Googling. On April 29th, 1961, see, some of you so young, whoa, that was a long time ago, but see, some of us have lived through that. And 1961, I was there, and I experienced this particular show. It's called ABC's Wide World of Sports. It debuted it. It started, I couldn't get that word out, but it started April 29th, 1961. And, at that time, sports coverage is not like it is now, 25 hours, ESPN, ESPN2, ESPN 4th, 5th, 6th. But back then, Channel 7 was one of the major places where you could get sports. Things like football and all hadn't quite yet been as prominent on the TV. But this ABC's Wide World of Sports, it covered things like the Penn relays, track and field events, and other, such sports. And the show typically aired on Saturday, and the opening of the show was a montage of a mix of sports shots and scenes from different sports things. And what it said was, wish I had the music, spanning the globe to bring you the constant variety of sports. And then here's where it goes. The thrill of victory and the agony of defeat. The human drama of athletic competition. This is ABC's Wide World of Sports. And Jim McKay, again, some people don't know that name, but Jim McKay was the man. He was cool, collective, smooth. And when he put the thrill of victory and agony of defeat, there were different scenes that were playing while he was saying that. A skier coming down a mountain and sliding off the mountain. That wasn't the way it was supposed to go. George Foreman, he was being crowd surfed, where they carry you. George Foreman's not a little man, but the crowd was carrying him above them because he had won the victory. And then it showed other tragic, agonizing sports events. If you've ever been a kicker and it's down to 2 seconds, and the game, you can win the game with the field goal, which is 3 points. You're down by 2 points. And all the crowd is cheering because we could win the game if you kick that field goal correctly. And the field goal kicker misses that. That's the agony of defeat. Everybody in that stadium will blame you. Forget that the game was that close in the first place. That's questionable. You missed the field goal. We lost. You made us lose. And for that kicker, just using that instance, would be ostracized. Probably couldn't go home. People would be outside his home probably didn't want his car to be recognized because they would have vandalized his car. That's the agony of defeat. The thrill of victory is a team that says, "Yay, we won!" And this subject came up because, again, I'm a sports enthusiast. I love sports. I love most sports. And I was watching the track and field championships from Haywood Arena, historic now Haywood Arena in Eugene, Oregon, and the many things that were going on. Sidney McLaughlin, runner from Dullen, New Jersey, she's from New Jersey, broke her own record with numbers no one would have thought that she could do before. No way. There's no way she can break that record. That's almost a second more than she's ever run. No way. But she did. That's the thrill of victory. So I thought I'd speak on that because the thrill of victory and the agony of defeat is not only germane to sports, it also describes life itself. In most of our lives, we've experienced thrills as well as agonies. The measure of a person is many times determined by how you deal with those highs and lows. There's a saying, if you get knocked down 8 times, you get back up 8. I forgot it, but in other words, I don't care how many times you get knocked down, but as long as you get up a comparable amount of time, you're successful. Not everything is spoon-fed. Not everybody can be like the wrestler, those who know wrestling, Goldberg. When he came into wrestling, he won 173 matches and had never lost. Of course, that's, wrestling, that's the build-up, that's the way they designed it. But 173-0. But how would you deal with when you do lose? That's the measure of a person. There's a classic movie, again, I'm going old school in this podcast, Jimmy Stewart, and it's called It's a Wonderful Life. Jimmy Stewart plays a lovable character named George Bailey. Not much of the story will I give you, but he loses clients and friends' money at the hands of an evil land baron. And because of that, he know that they're going to be so disappointed. You lost all our money, my life savings, everything, every penny I had. George, how could you do this? He knew that many people were going to be unhappy with him. He wanted to end it all. He went to this bridge where there was water, and he was about to jump off. Luckily, God, as God always does, sent a ram in the bush, and there was this angel named Clarence. Clarence showed him, just like in the Christmas story, what life would be like if he never lived. That's what he says. I wish I never lived. I'm so disappointed I lost everyone's money. Well, it turns out that life would have been terrible. Many things that George had done before losing the money made that town a better place. And if he had never lived, that town would have been a terrible town. Great story, historic. It's called It's a Wonderful Life. It comes on around Christmas time, Thanksgiving. If you haven't seen it, you need to see it. I was turned on to it by my ex-wife, and I want to look at this. And, I'm kind of very particular. I don't like watching stuff that only has a certain color of people, but I watch it. And, okay, that's what it did. It wasn't any black people on it, but it's a good movie, the message behind the movie. In my own life, I've experienced being so happy. I never wanted the feeling to end. And then there was some days where I wanted to crawl in a hole. Nobody leave me alone, Most of us have. There's several factors, such as death. That's always a big one. Death is a heart-wrencher, tragedy. That's the thrill of the agony, rather. The agony part of life. Bankruptcy. You've never been bankrupt, but you lose all your money and you say you can't pay your bills. Devastating. The loss, either physically or emotionally, of a spouse or companion, definitely. Whether it's losing them to death or losing them because they found somebody else or you found somebody else, those things can devastate your life, and many people don't always recover for them. And they're definitely life changes on the negative spectrum. Factors like weddings, childbirth, winning championships, getting that dream job, dream home, or dream car are events that make one indescribably happy. You're so happy you just don't know what to do. Oh, get this car. Oh my God. Oh, let me go sit out in my car. Let me take a picture of my car. Let me post my car on Facebook. Okay, so I'm talking about myself. I drive a beautiful sports car, and I love it. That was a day, and still to this day, I'm extremely happy because I'm now retired, and I bought that as a gift. I worked all my life. It made me indescribably happy to know that I own a sports car at my senior age. I don't drive fast, but I own it. I digress. Many of you, some of you know anyway, I'm a writer. I've been a writer all my life. Writing is my gift from God. Speaking also, those are gifts from God. And, I always use them. Some people get mad, say I'm too verbose. You know what that means? That means I talk a lot. See, that's why words and stuff. I know things like that. But I always break it down. I don't try to be an egghead. Because I'm not an egghead. I just know a lot. But in my third book, Quotes and Motivational Words, Stories, including the people behind it. I wrote that book during a time when many of us, not just me, were going through some feelings that were unexplainable. Every time you turned on the news, 300 people died of COVID. COVID is spreading. You can't go outside. They're shutting down this. They're shutting down this. There's shortages of this. Our world was upended in 2020. We survived it, but some did not survive it. Many people lost loved ones, including in my family. We lost loved ones due to this virus and this pandemic. And that was one of the times, again, when you felt much agony. Oh, Lord, what's going on? I can't take anymore. And that's part of agony. But in this book that was written during COVID, for that very reason, I wrote it because of my feelings. And the way I express my feelings is I can get angry. I can get real angry. I try not to because that's not a good trait. Or I can just write. And when I put my pen, this is one of my bigger books. It's a full 8.5 by 11, and it's over 200 pages. But the books, I always write them for us seniors, so you could probably see the words there. But in this book, I write about some people who overcame adversities, and you'd be surprised at who those people were. Jesus Christ is the subject of the book. Barack Obama, Kamala Harris, Colin Powell, Nelson Mandela spent 27 years in the South African prison and never changed. He said, you keep me in prison for the rest of my life, but I am not going to say that I enjoy the leadership of the racist South Africa. Shirley Chisholm, John Lewis, so many others. I even talk about an Indian tribe, Sonia Sotomayor, Supreme Court Justice, first Hispanic, Imam Amiri Baraka, that's the father of the Newark mayor. My favorite player, LeBron James and Reverend Al Sharpton. Those are people who are in the book. But also what I do is, in this book, I give some motivational affirmations because these kind of things help. And I don't push my books on people. There's some people who think they hurt me because they don't buy my books. But I know these things, so it helps me, and it helps others, family, loved ones who, that they can't help but get my words of wisdom. But things like, I believe in myself. The best is yet to come. Today is going to be a great day. I love myself. I can do anything. many of these positive motivational affirmations are there. There's also positive I am statements. I'm fruitful. I am unstoppable. I'm determined. I'm forgiving. I'm victorious. Oh man, there's a lot of them. Won't read them all. But in this book, that was my way of combating the feelings I had during this pandemic. And, it helped me. I'm here. I've survived it. Then good things are happening, continuing to happen. I've now written a fourth book, all available on Amazon under my name, Harry Paden. I encourage you to buy them because I write books that are self-help books. I know a lot. Humbly, I do. I know a lot. My books could help people. But if you think you're hurting me, come on. My books don't feed me. They just don't. I don't spend that much time trying to sell them. But my books are awesome because I am a great writer. Thank you, God. But there's also, in the summation, there's also some other words. This is a quote from Albert G. Hubbard. Not Ron Hubbard, but one of his relatives. When life hands you lemons, make lemonade. So there are things that you can do. There are quotes in this book from everybody, from Helen Keller, Popeye the Sailor. Yeah, Popeye the Sailor. Popeye the Sailor has one of the greatest sayings I've ever heard. I am what I am. And that's all that I am. That's all, he just said, I am what I am. That's all that I am. You don't have to be no man. You have to prove himself to you. Those parents trying to push your kids to be doctors and lawyers when all they want to be is a plumber. They are what they are. And they're going to be successful at what they want to be successful. Franklin Delano Roosevelt, Mahatma Gandhi, Fannie Lou Hamer, sick and tired of being sick and tired. And one of my favorites as I come to an end on the thrill of victory and the agony of defeat. This is by motivational speaker Zig Ziglar. Take this down, if you would. Don't be distracted by criticism. Remember, the only taste of success some people get is to take a bite out of you. In other words, some people, the only success, I'm so ghetto. The only success some people get is to try to put you down. But can't anyone put me down because I am such a narcissist that when I look in the mirror, I say, man, you look good. That's a gorgeous beard you got, that mustache, and those eyes. Oh, and the see what I'm saying? See, I'm crazy that way. I could be in a crowd of people and they could be booing me. And I say, wow, what's wrong with them? They must be of the blind sort. So remember, there's going to be thrills of victories. There's going to be agonies of defeat. How you handle those things are going to determine the measure of the man and woman that you become. I remember when the 1 minute mile, they said that'll never be broken. Now, if you don't run a mile in a minute, you always gonna be last. Cause that's not the norm anymore. It's way, a minute mile. What? But back in my generation, what's the name? Ryan. I think it's Jim Ryan. Ran the minute mile. His record will never be broken. See, there's a supreme being, God. And God has given us this beautiful machinery called the body, along with the master machinery, our brain. There's nothing we can't do with faith in God. So, though you may experience the agonies of life, whether it's in sports, whether it's in life, remember, God can get you through it all. And then you can experience again the thrill of victory. To God be the glory. Hopefully this helps you, because there have been people who have committed suicide because they've gotten so despondent about a loss or many different things. But watch It's a Wonderful Life. Your life is better because you make it better. Sometimes up, sometimes down, almost level to the ground. But God can pick you up. That's my testimony. I've been down, but I've certainly been up. To God be the glory.